Have you ever imagined what it would be like to transform each key press into a symphony? In the world of mechanical keyboards, each key press matters and can elevate your ultimate writing or gaming experience to a completely new level. Today, I will guide you through the labyrinth of choices, from switches to keycaps to lighting and ergonomics, to find the perfect mechanical keyboard for you. Are you ready to reach perfection under each finger? What is a mechanical keyboard? A mechanical keyboard is a type of computer keyboard that uses individual mechanical switches under each key, unlike regular membrane keyboards, where pressing a key means pressing a flexible membrane. In a mechanical keyboard, each key has its own mechanical switch. Speaking of switches, what is a switch? The switch is the mechanism behind each key on your mechanical keyboard. It's what changes the feel of the key, its noise, and the actuation force. Some switches are lighter or heavier to press. Now, I say heavy, but don't imagine you would need a hammer to the keys or hit the gym to be able to press enter quickly. There are some differences, noticeable, but they depend on everyone's personal preferences and expectations. There is no right or wrong, in my opinion. What is a mechanical keyboard switch made of? Well, you have the upper part of the housing, the stem, which is usually colored according to the type of switch, and onto which the keycap is actually mounted. You have the leaves, which are the metal plates or contacts, the spring, and the bottom part of the housing. I'm not going to dismantle a switch right now, but that's basically it. Obviously, it's more complicated and it varies, but that's the gist. The switches of a mechanical keyboard can be of three types: linear, tactile, or clicky. Besides specifications, the color also denotes what type of switch a keyboard has. Let's go over each type of switch a bit. So we have the linear switches, usually in red, yellow, or black. They press smoothly, easily, and without tactile feedback, which means that you don't feel anything when you press it and the keystroke is registered. The noise is minimal, and tactile switches, usually brown or transparent, have a bump feel that is you feel when the keystroke is registered. They are a bit louder than linear switches, but they're very suitable for beginners, being somewhat in the middle when it comes to switches. That is quite enough and easy to press, but not too easy. It is ideal to try a brown switch if you don't know what to expect from a mechanical keyboard. The last type, the clicky switches, usually blue or green, have a bump feel like the tactile ones, often more pronounced, and the noise is much louder. It's genuinely a distinct sound that many people enjoy. It's not for everyone, but if you type or write a lot and you are in an environment where you won't disturb others, it's worth trying to see if it's for you. There are many more colors than the ones I mentioned for each type of switch, each with its own characteristics. Like one might be harder to press, another might be quieter, another louder, and so on. In addition, there are also low profile switches like these ones for those who prefer a slimmer keyboard. There's a wide variety of options, but they usually fall into one of these three types. So with this many variations, you have plenty to choose from. But again, if you're thinking about your first mechanical keyboard, meaning you've never had one, try to test one at a friend's place or in a store if they have them displayed over there. If that's not possible and you really want to buy one, I'd recommend one with tactile switches, meaning brown switches like Otemu brown, Sherry MX brown, Gatoron brown, or other color variations that are still in the tactile category. Tactile ones, such as Otemu, linear ones, such as Otemu Red, even if they are quieter, lacking typing feedback, many people bottom out. That means they press the keys all the way down more than necessary, and this can lead either to finger pain, mistakes, and or frustrations. And the clicky ones might be too peculiar for someone on their first mechanical keyboard. It's really noisy. Some types of blue switches are really noisy, especially if you don't write a lot or don't have a typewriter fetish. A small note here, since we're talking about switches, there are also optical switches, but they're more useful for hardcore gamers or those who actually make money from gaming. Even if they're about 5 milliseconds or so faster than mechanical switches, optical switches are much more expensive, and this is of course reflected in the price of the keyboard. So often, investing the money in components, a monitor, or even in the game is more cost effective than in optical switches. But if the budget is not an issue and you want the fastest response possible from your keyboard, go for a keyboard with optical switches. Another thing that matters when you want to buy a mechanical keyboard is the manufacturer of the switch. Pay attention to the switch, not the keyboard. Not that the keyboard manufacturer isn't important, but often various manufacturers use the same type of switch. The switch manufacturer influences both the quality and the durability of the switch. If you want the most durable switches, go for Sherry MX, like Sherry MX Red if you want linear, Sherry MX Brown, Sherry MX Blue for Clicky, and so on. Alternatively, for a very good value for money, there are Gatoron switches that are also a great choice. And the more budget-friendly option are the Otemu switches. For example, Otemu Red, as on the Red Dragon K614, this keyboard, or Otemu Blue, as on this one. Don't be fooled. Even if they are cheaper, these switches also withstand wear and tear very well. Personally, I've had only one Otemu switch fail in the last 3 years, easily replaced with one from the box since Red Dragon included 4 spares directly in the box with the keyboard. And these keyboards have really been through a lot. Used at least 7 hours a day. They have been yet not opened or cleaned for a long time and then just cleaned. They've seen work, they've seen gaming, angry gaming, cola spills, even slaps and husky paws when one of the dogs decided he wanted to jump on the desk. So I'm either lucky or they can take a lot of abuse. And at under $50, if the keyboards completely fail after 3 years of daily use so much, I'm satisfied it did its job. Another aspect to consider is the size of the keyboard. The popular sizes are full size or 100% like this one, which is a normal keyboard, with all the keys, the Fs, the numpad, the arrow keys and everything. We all have or have had one at one point. It has approximately 104 to 105 keys and some have media keys. There are also 80% keyboards, like a full keyboard but without the numpad. So there are also 75, 65, 60 and 40% which can be quite difficult to use. Like this one from Red Dragon is 60%. It doesn't have arrow keys. If you want arrows, you need to press WASD and FN. So you have a picture on the screen about all these sizes. I recommend not going below 10 keyless or 80% if you've never tried one. Something like this 60% can be very annoying if you're not used to shortcuts or pressing keys simultaneously for normal functions like a look. This one doesn't even have delete. You need to press FN plus a button. But I know them by heart since I use it for more than 2 years, so it's convenient for me because it's very small. But again, it's a matter of preference. There's no right or wrong when we're talking about sizes. I have a habit of keeping my hands quite close together, and when one hand is on the keyboard and one on the mouse, with a 100% keyboard, I sometimes in gaming would hit the keyboard with the mouse. So this doesn't happen with a smaller keyboard. Realistically speaking, probably an 80% would have also been small enough, so I wouldn't have this kind of issues. But again, it's a matter of preference. How much does a mechanical keyboard cost? You can easily find one under $60. Chances are it might be a Red Dragon. Something of quality is usually around 80 or more dollars if you want a more premium feel and better switches. And it might sound strange, but if you want extra features and have certain expectations from your product from your keyboard, it's worth paying extra. Usually the quality bump is noticeable and felt when typing. Besides, with many models, even with this one, you can replace the switches, the keycaps, according to the look or feel you desire or chase. So it can become a quite expensive hobby, but honestly, the costs come usually if you're indecisive, like you have two keyboards already and you're curious about those new type of switches, how they feel, or want another set of keycaps that are bluer or redder. And like any hobby, you can go really far. Now, the difference between a cheap and expensive keyboard is usually like the table on the screen. An expensive keyboard is made of plastic and aluminium, while a cheap one is made of low quality or poorly crafted plastic. An expensive keyboard has PBT keycaps, which are much more durable, whereas a cheap one has keycaps made out of ABS plastic. An expensive keyboard has better switches, such as something from Sherry MX, while a cheap one has Otemo. An expensive keyboard has RGB, a cheap one does not, or it only has one color or something like that. An expensive keyboard comes with powerful software and allows all sorts of things and combinations, while a cheap one has terrible software or no software at all. An expensive keyboard has a detachable cable, even this one from Red Dragon has, and sometimes even wireless and Bluetooth. A cheap one has a fixed cable and that's it. Now I mentioned PBT keycaps. These keys are more durable and wear more evenly, so not only they wear out less easily, but they also remain nicely or nicer over time. They are more resistant to UV if that helps. So what is double shot? Often you see double shot as a specification for a manufacturer. It refers to the manufacturing process of the keys, meaning it's made by double injection. That means the lettering on the keys should remain legible and clear for a longer time, and it should be better made from the start. And if you're a gamer, you want at least a 1000 Hz pulling rate, a big N key rollover, meaning you can press many keys at once and they are all registered on time, powerful software if you want macros, and a wired connection because it's still faster than Bluetooth or wireless. If I were to make some recommendations for a mechanical keyboard, I suggest a budget-friendly option with Otemu Brown if this is your first mechanical keyboard. That means tactile switches, to see how you like it, to get the feel of it. If that's too noisy for you, try one with linear switches like Otemu Red. If you want a louder keyboard, try something like Otemu Blues that are harder to press and have a powerful sound. But even if they are cheap, they hold up pretty good to wear and tear and can be good for a first mechanical keyboard. And realistically speaking, you could probably get one of each, uh, and you won't go above $200 or something like that. So you can completely figure what you like. The other thing is you can try at a friend, or if maybe one of your stores have something on display, you can try them before you buy them. That would be ideal. And if you want specific models, check out my blog at TechieShow.com. I have written a more detailed article about mechanical keyboards there. Oh, I'll leave you a link in the description for that. And the next level will be to build your own keyboard. It's becoming quite popular. It's not for those who are new to mechanical keyboards and are not very handy. But who am I to tell you what to do with your money? So if you want to go to extreme, you can get a kit or get the parts individually and configure and assemble your own keyboard from scratch. You can order all the parts for your keyboard and create your own little monster. Usually it's more expensive, and for those who treat a mechanical keyboard as a hobby. It's exciting, but it's a rabbit hole you can get lost in, and it can get expensive. But there are so many options and so many things you can customize and all that, even 3D printed keycaps with different things. It's a broad subject. But yes, this option exists too. So in conclusion, why buy a mechanical keyboard? Well, you don't actually have to. It's not mandatory. But if you've never typed on one, it's worth trying. It's a different experience to type on a mechanical keyboard. Even if they are slightly more expensive than your average membrane keyboard, the quality of the product is usually superior, as is the durability. And when it comes to money, spending between 50 and 300 or more, if you want something premium on a keyboard, may sound like a lot, but quality costs just like any other products. And let's be real, in 2024, many of us work on PCs, and if you make money from it, like programming, writing, graphic design, video editing, engineering, support, and whatever else people do on PCs for money, it pays for itself just by making the use of your PC 1% or even more enjoyable. So I hope this longer video was helpful if you're looking into buying your first mechanical keyboard, or informative if you already have one and are looking for an upgrade. Remember to like the video and subscribe to the channel to find out first when I publish a new video. And leave a comment if you have questions or ideas about mechanical keyboards mentioned in this video or in general. And until next time, write with pleasure and game to the max. Bye.